Now on 7 News, let the madness begin as Greenville stakes its claim as the basketball capital of the South. We're hours away from opening tip-off between the Gamecocks and the Aggies.
Just a different type of beast when you come in the SEC conference, and we're just super excited.
We've got live coverage from the Well for this year's SEC Women's Tournament. It's all now on 7 News. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. It's March the 8th. 7 o'clock's the time. I'm Olivia Parsons. College basketball is taking over Greenville this week. 7 News' Fred Cunningham, Christine Scarpelli joined us live at the Well for the SC Women's Tournament. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Olivia. It's a big day here. Obviously, day 3 of the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament, but it is day 1 for the Gamecocks on the floor. The #1 team in the country, undefeated for their second straight regular season. They take on Texas A&M at noon.
They just have a ring to it, Fred. They're just #1 in the country. Oh man, that sounds pretty good. As somebody who went there, it's exciting, but also the fans piling into Greenville, going to hotels, many of them almost full. They say restaurants. We were at Scoundrel in downtown Greenville the other day, saying they can't wait to have all those fans excited, hopefully in their seats.
That's right, because of course South Carolina not only going for their 8th SEC championship in the last 10 years, obviously thinking down the road for a 3rd national championship under Dawn Staley.
Wow, yeah, Coach is excited to be so close to home. They say Greenville always rolls out the red carpet for them. We were talking about that a few minutes ago, and just happy to be able to focus once they get to town. That they don't have a really long trip. You know, they're able to come and maybe hopefully have some decent weather. Oh,
I think we got a great start, at least for this Friday. Let's check in with 7 News meteorologist Malachi Rogers.
Well, it's a good start to our Friday morning, 7:01, guys. We are looking at temperatures in the 50s and 40s across the upstate, western North Carolina. A little bit of sunshine, but we're mostly cloudy to start the morning out in that blanket of clouds, keeping temperatures on the milder side this morning. We're watching some light showers northeast Georgia that will try to move in through midday, early afternoon. But right now, it's just quiet and cloudy over Spartanburg and Greenville. We see that layer of clouds over the city. We are going to see mostly cloudy weather today. A cooler day than yesterday. Highs today only in the 60s. We keep clouds in place. Showers around in the mountains as well with temperatures in the upper 50s. That's a look at Friday weather. Let's get a look at our Friday morning traffic.
Malachi, thank you. Headed out the door at 7:02. A check of our travels this morning on your roadways. If you are taking I-85 north of I-385, we're in good shape once you get to this point, but getting there from Simpsonville might be hard for you. We've got lanes blocked because of a crash as you approach mile marker 29, and we're backed up past mile marker 26. And that's because crews have those lanes blocked off. So just a heads up, drivers making your way along the interstate and the roadways, anticipate a good bit of congestion. Maybe consider an alternate route for your commute, like along 101. Fans have traveled hundreds of miles to cheer on their favorite teams in the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament. But what does the madness of March mean to the city of Greenville? We'll send it back now to 7 News' Fred Cunningham. He's live at the Well with more. Fred.
Good morning, Olivia. You know, March Madness has become part of spring in Greenville, from the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament to the NCAA men's and women's early round games being played here in recent years. Greenville is calling itself the basketball capital of the South. Setup work started early this week outside Bon Secours Wellness Arena, but the game plan is usually the same. Greenville is in year 2 of a 3-year deal to host the best in SEC women's basketball.
We have now proven for a number of years that when we host basketball events here at the Well and in the Greenville community, that fans show up, teams show up, their supporters show up, and that we're able to execute a really memorable event for everybody involved.
And it pays off big for the city.
We expect over the 5-day period of the tournament for visitors to spend a little under $11 million directly. That's the spending right out of the visitors' pockets and into our hotels and restaurants and shops and taxis and parking and all the other things that they do. The overall economic impact is about $16 million for the week.
And lots of those fans will come from 100 miles away in Columbia. USC led the nation in women's basketball attendance again this year, averaging nearly 16,500 a game.
The number one thing that we can do as a community is to continue to show up and support. It's helpful to have the #1 undefeated Lady Gamecocks right down the road.
and Greenville is hungry for more.
We want the SEC women's basketball here in Greenville and to call it home forever. We're starting to have those conversations as what will it take to get them here for long term.
Now, Greenville hosted the NCAA women's basketball tournament here 1 year ago. The men played here in 2017, 2022, and will be back here again in 2026. Now, Keith Dillard tells me that the NCAA has already opened bids for the 2027 and 28 games, and Greenville's in the hunt there. He thinks that we'll find out perhaps if March Madness will be returning to the upstate by the end of this year. Now let's talk about the Gamecocks. They are on the floor for the first time. It's a noon tip-off as they take on Texas A&M. And of course, they've got our third national championship on their minds as well. USC has holdovers from last year's Final Four squad who've expanded their roles while adding key newcomers. Staley told us how this wide variety of personalities have meshed to create another undefeated regular season.
When it's who they are, it's who they are. You can't really fight who people are. You just got to figure out how you can actually integrate what they're going to give us.
South Carolina has been dominant on both ends of the floor, ranking third in the nation in offense, scoring 87 points a game, and lead the SEC in defense, allowing 55 on the other end. Christine.
Oh, Fred, very exciting. Love hearing those statistics, especially ahead of a big game just hours away. It is beautiful this morning and looking good as well. Jared Evans with us this morning, Chief Experience Officer with the Gamecock Alumni Association. I was talking just a few minutes ago, if there's some Gamecocks watching this morning and they're looking for a place where they can find some camaraderie, maybe before or after the game, good place to go was Fire Forge?
Fire Forge Crafted Beer, that's right. We'll be there after the game today and then 2.5 hours prior to tip-off on Saturday and Sunday.
Going there, you can learn a little bit more about being a part of the Alumni Association, maybe even the Gamecock Club.
Absolutely.
What's the plus there? What is something that might be helpful to both you and other Gamecocks, maybe giving back, being a member?
Yeah, I mean, really one of our biggest missions is scholarships. So we award more than 230 scholarships every single year. And that wouldn't be possible without the support of so many incredible alumni who came through USC and they want to give back, and not just financially with their time. You know, mentorship, professional development, career outcomes is a big priority for us and a big mission, and they support us that way, and they support the current and future students as well.
That's good to know. I think just knowing that, even if you're not a Gamecock fan, if you're not a Gamecock, being a part of another team, giving back through the Alumni Association is really interesting. You might even be able to support an athlete or two. You can be out here cheering them on today. In just a couple of hours, we'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks, Christine. We look forward to it, and all those details at WSPA.com. You can watch all of the tournament action on the SEC network. 7 News will have more live coverage from the well this morning and all throughout the day, starting at noon when the Gamecocks take on Texas A&M. Next on 7 News, a near decade-long murder investigation in the upstate ends with a guilty plea. We hear from the person responsible, who claims he did it out of self-defense.
Good morning and welcome back to Clemson. We are live here at Dockside for our zip trip, our final one of the season. They've just blown by.
Very sad, right? I'm
like,
no,
sad.
Yeah.
It's turned into my favorite thing we do.
Way to end it with a bang.
Friday, and I love being out here with you.
I know. We do have fun. It's a 4-day work week every week because you have zip trips on Friday, and they don't count because we have too much fun to classify it as work.
But still pay us for those.
Yeah. It's not really work on a Friday. We're having a good time.
We got a big half hour coming up. I know you're back, of course, obviously, and so is
Trivia with Olivia.
Yeah.
I have Catherine Watt, she's councilwoman, and I just saw her arrive. So we should be good to go for our Trivia with Olivia, which comes up in the next 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
I can't wait. Okay, so we are going to talk to the Chamber of Commerce here in Clemson. They do so much, bring so many big events to town. They've got some holiday fun coming up, and there's a big golf tournament. You can
I saw clubs.
Heck yeah.
My clubs.
Yeah, you are they?
Yeah, I brought my golf clubs today.
And that was for me encourage you to play.
If you pay attention to Fred long enough, you'll just notice him over in the corner just practicing his swing.
Well,
it's like a man thing.
We're so close to Lake Hartwell, and my balls are used to winding up deep in water, so I thought it'd be an absolute perfect situation.
Golfing weather, huh?
Golf and weather. Let's talk about it. Here's 7 News meteorologist Malachi Rogers.
All right, and the weather's nice this morning. A good start to our day. You see sunshine there on the Clemson area, Lake Hartwell, 7:31, and we're out the door with 70s in the upstate, mid-60s in western North Carolina for your work and school day. Absolutely clear. Great start to the day with sunshine in Spartanburg and in Greenville. And as we go through the afternoon, we'll see those temperatures once again in the 90s, low 90s upstate, upper 80s to near 90 in the mountains with a chance of an isolated thunderstorm. That's the forecast for this Friday. Now let's check in on our Friday morning traffic. Live drive traffic at 7:32, and we take a look at Interstate 85. We're right along Highway 14, those southbound lanes, starting to see a little more of that congestion. No slowdowns as of yet, no accidents I should say, but we're starting to slow down just a bit. And again, give yourself a little extra time if you can, and watch your speed and your distance. It is a holiday weekend. All right, that's the forecast and your live drive traffic on this Friday morning.
Malachi, thank you. We waited forever for this weekend to be upon us. College football is back, baby, and the Clemson Tigers, they open their season tomorrow in Atlanta with a showdown against the preseason top-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. That's right. It's the biggest game of the weekend in college football. Meanwhile, if you're talking about Clemson football this season, if you go to the practice field and yell, "Hey, Sweeney," chances are 4 heads will turn around. It's a football family affair at Clemson, where head coach Dabo Swinney, along with his sons Will, Drew, and Clay, are all in one place at last.
First time ever that we've all been on the same team.
From Clemson, number 81, Drew Swinney.
Dabo Swinney has already seen Drew play 40 games for him before he graduated following the 2022 season. That was a year after Will Swinney came down the hill for the final time. Now it's Clay Sweeney's turn. The Clemson wide receiver is a sophomore.
Obviously, that's my last name, and it comes with a lot of weight, but that means a lot of people are watching, and they can see the joy I can give people and the effort I can put in.
Clay just turned 21. I remember it like it was yesterday. He was born right here in July of '03, and he's 21 years old now, and just amazing.
And his brothers are back on the practice field with him. Will has returned as an intern and works with the tight ends. Drew Swinney is helping to develop the wide receivers, so he sees Clay frequently.
He's been around football his whole life. He played 5 years, so if he's telling me something, I need to listen, just like any other coach.
And could we see Clay wearing a cap and whistle down the road, making it 4 coaching Sweeneys?
I mean, I still got 3 seasons left, but definitely think about the future. And I think, the family business coaching is definitely an option for me.
Will, Drew, and Clay also have something else in common. It's very special, as in special teams in football. They have handed off one brother to the next the duties of being the holder on place kicks. In fact, every place kick for Clemson football since the start of the 2017 season has been held by a Swinney.
Born into it, natural athletes, but also outside of them being spectacular athletes, great, really nice people.
Hey,
yes, I was just showing Fred. I'm like, hey, I met Will a couple years ago, and the charity that I am very heavily involved with is very tight-knit with Dabo. He's always looking to help out, always trying to get his hands involved, so they're a great family as well.
All right, well, let's talk about football, because tomorrow, of course, is the big showdown. We've mentioned it. It is Georgia against Clemson. This is a matchup of 2 of the 3 active coaches who have won an FBS national championship. Kirby Smart's Dogs, the preseason #1 in the AP poll. The nation's top-ranked team hasn't lost a season opener in 34 years. Coach Dabo Swinney would like to change that. He'd also like to see Georgia on a regular basis.
Honestly, I wish we played Georgia every year, just because it'd save a lot of money for everybody, especially our fans. We've had to go out to A&M. I think we go to LSU in a couple years. There's a lot of great history with Clemson, Georgia. I grew up, you knew Clemson, Georgia was going to play each other. It was just one of those games that you wanted to watch.
And this weekend's matchup is the only top 15 matchup for the weekend. Clemson and Georgia, they kick off in Atlanta tomorrow at noon. All eyes on that game.
Yeah, that's right. And at the same time, they used to play each other every year. When I first got here 40 years ago. Of course, that changes now. College athletics has changed so much. So every time they get an opportunity to play, Tigers and Dogs, man, that's going to be a highlight.
It's going to be a good one. Simone, we'll send it back to you for a check of our top stories.
It is 7:40. Practices continue today ahead of Super Bowl LVIII for the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs.
In the highly anticipated rematch from 4 years ago, the spotlight has shifted focus onto the two quarterbacks. We head over to Sasha Loftus in Vegas outside Allegiant Stadium, home of Super Bowl LVIII. Good morning.
Fred and Olivia, good morning to you. As you said, spotlight this year, a big storyline is those two quarterbacks, right? You have Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs, who already has 2 Super Bowl rings. He's well versed in the Super Bowl world. Then you have Brock Purdy of the Niners, who is known as Mr. Irrelevant, right? He has that nickname because he was the last pick in the draft. Here he is leading their team into Super Bowl LVIII. Now, it's not so much about the stats that these two bring to their teams. It's more about what they provide as leaders. Don't get us wrong, the numbers are still pretty nice. Brock is the top-rated passer in the league for the first time, and as the last pick of the draft in 2022, Purdy has proven himself to be more than just a game manager. Then, of course, you have the man with 2 rings already, Patrick Mahomes. He is a different beast, as we know, in the postseason. He's led 5 game-winning drives and 4 fourth-quarter comebacks in his short but illustrious career. During Tuesday's media session, both teams were sure to let people know that Mahomes and Purdy are not only leaders on the field, but off it as well.
Brock is so cool, man. He's not about himself, man. He's a team guy, man. And it's just that, and it trickles down.
He doesn't have to change much because that's really who he is. I mean, Brock is as humble of a person as I've ever been around. I know when he came to the league, you could see it on him right away. You've seen it through everything. I mean, the third-string quarterback, the starting quarterback, what he's done this year, I mean, he's still the same guy as he was the first day.
When you go through some ups and downs with people, you know, and you make it through the other side, it's a beautiful thing, man, and you just want it that much more for the person next to you, knowing how much work they put in.
Yeah, you know, we've gotten a great relationship over the past 3 years, and just being able to work with Pat's a blessing. You know, obviously, you know, he's probably the best quarterback in the league right now, the best in a while too. So it's a blessing just to get to work with him, and we've grown a good relationship over the past 3 years.
Now, Chiefs will talk to the media today before practice. Then the Niners are practicing first, and we'll talk to the media after. A lot on the docket, of course, today for that second day of practice. There's also a lot going on in the city as well as preparations continue. The Thunderbirds have their first practice flyover today, and the NFL Experience opens up for fans who are already here to enjoy the big game festivities. So just a lot to look forward to, and we'll, of course, keep bringing you more as the week goes on. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, and you'll see Super Bowl LVIII Sunday on 7 News and CBS. Coverage begins at 2 p.m. Kickoff set for 6:30.
It's time to make it official. Ahead on 7 News, Pete Yannity is here with where some top area high school stars plan to play sports in college.
Plus, we'll have a check of your weather and your live drive traffic when 7 News continues after this.
NASCAR Cup Series playoff action begins this weekend in Atlanta. Things are heating up in the Xfinity Series as drivers have only 2 more chances to either win or lock in enough points for the postseason. 7 News' Kelsey O'Donnell. She joins us live from Atlanta with the weekend lineup. Kelsey, good morning.
Olivia, good morning to you guys over there in Spartanburg. It is going to be a big jam-packed weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for NASCAR fans. Pretty quiet now, but we expect that to change here in just about 24 hours. All the action gets underway on Saturday, starting with qualifying sessions for both the Xfinity and the Cup Series drivers. Then race number 1 will happen this weekend on Saturday at 3 p.m. That's the Focus Health 250. Now, with only 2 races remaining in the regular season, the playoff field is narrowing for Xfinity drivers like Sheldon Creed. Creed is in contention for a championship this year. He'll sport a new look Saturday wrapped in CW Sports logos. It's pretty neat there. Well, this comes as the network announced a 7-year deal this week as the official broadcast partner of the Xfinity Series. That includes the final 8 races of the year beginning on September 20th. So stay tuned for that there. As for the big guys in the Cup Series, they say Atlanta has somewhat of a wild card feel to it as they kick off race number 1 of the postseason on Sunday.
Really important to kind of get off on the right foot, you know, and Atlanta, you never really know. I mean, gosh, you have no idea what can happen.
The first race is really the biggest wild card, but from there we'll just keep plugging away at it.
It's just kind of taking it one race at a time. I feel like this format is so hard to look ahead, and so really for us just trying to get through Atlanta and have a good first round and get through Watkins Glen and Bristol.
Back out here live at Atlanta Motor Speedway, we know racing very big in the South. In fact, the city of Atlanta is embracing racing here this weekend. Over at the Braves Stadium, the team will be hosting the Blue Jays tonight and having a NASCAR-themed night where home track favorite Chase Elliott will be throwing out the first pitch. So a lot to look forward to here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, starting tomorrow with the Xfinity race at 3, followed by Sunday's Cup Series playoff race at 3 p.m. as well. Live this morning at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Kelsey O'Donnell, back to you.
Kelsey, thank you. Sounds exciting. And the Xfinity Series will drop the green flag at 3 p.m. Saturday. Cup Series playoff action gets underway Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Drivers, start your engine!
And the Rock gets the Daytona 500 finally started after a day delay because of rain. NASCAR's biggest event comes down to the finish as the field starts the final lap. Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric bring out the yellow with a crash. But the caution came after the lead pack took the white flag, which made the race official. William Byron takes the number 24 car to victory lane. Byron wins the Daytona 500, giving Hendrick Motorsports a record-tying 9th victory to open its 40th season. College basketball, a wild scene at the end of last night's game between Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate Word in San Antonio. Players were going through the handshake line when a brawl started. No serious injuries were reported. The two schools issued a joint statement apologizing for what they called unsportsmanlike conduct. The universities and the Southland Conference are reviewing what happened. For Clemson basketball fans as the Tigers hosted Georgia Tech at Littlejohn. P.J. Hall had a career night with 31 points and 17 rebounds. The Tigers had a 9-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go, but the Yellow Jackets' Nathan George hit a three with less than 3 seconds in regulation to force the first of 2 overtimes. Miles Kelly had a runner in the second OT. Tech edges Clemson 93-90. The Gamecocks at home against Georgia looking for a 3rd win in 4 SEC games. Former Dorman star Talon Cooper finds B.J. Mack in the corner. The former Wofford Terrier buried a 3. USC led by as many as 9 in the second half and couldn't hold on. Georgia took its first lead with just over 9 minutes to play and beat the Gamecocks 74-69.
So when I left home, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I'm finna go to work and I'm finna get prepared for my day. Little did I know, that was quite a surprise on the way.
That's what Miami Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill said after yesterday's game with Jacksonville. He was detained hours before kickoff by Miami-Dade police. Officers say they stopped him for reckless driving outside Hard Rock Stadium. Hill had an 80-yard touchdown catch in the Dolphins' win. The police director says an immediate review of the situation is underway. We have 3 segments to talk about this story.
The second I saw the Lamborghini and him on the ground, I'm like, you know, he was skirting around the streets of Miami. So don't do that on the roadways.
And this story's not over because, again, he's arrested. He's put in handcuffs. He's face down on the pavement right outside of the stadium. And there were lots of eyewitnesses to that. So there's going to be a lot more that comes out of this story, I'm sure, before it's all over. Yeah, that's a. And again, talk about being able to compartmentalize. You're a professional football player. You get arrested like that. You have that traumatic experience, and then you go out and have a great football game. So that's why athletes are a little bit different than us. They're built a little different. All right.